There we go. We're live.
Go live? Okay.
Yep.
Zoning Board of Review is now in session. First thing we'll do is roll call. Mike, you want to see if Sue is in the,
Yep. I'm looking.
all right. Do you have to do anything to get rid of that? Continue up there.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't see Sue on. Let me see if I can get her on the phone.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep. I just touched base with Sue. She's going to be about 5 minutes late.
Okay, all right. So for those in attendance, we're waiting for our fifth member who's going to be about 5 minutes late. So just bear with us a few more minutes. Eric, I was mentioned before, starting next month, we can all be back in here.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Been a while.
As Mike said, we get the band back together.
How long's it been?
Since February of 2020.
Yeah. Wow.
Eric, have you been on your boat yet?
I sold it.
Oh.
Yeah,
Wow.
bad news. How about you, John?
Did you buy a new one?
I have 3 kids.
Oh, boy.
I could use a getaway.
Was that a tough decision?
It's been easier.
Yeah,
How about you?
I haven't been out yet, but it's ready to go. It's been serviced.
Yeah, perfect. Gotta make time. This is the season.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I knew Eric, you only had 2 kids. Things have changed.
I know. Yeah, lots going on this past year and a half.
I guess so.
Yeah. It's a grind.
And a friend, Larry Keeney, dropped it on the 7th hole at one time, did 65 years old.
I knew I knew that name.
Yeah, he was married to Mimi Conservation,
Oh.
a friend.
Oh, yeah.
Couples that we get together with.
Oh, geez.
They were married for 7 years, just retired.
But you know what? What a place to go. I mean, doing what you love.
I know.
I mean, it would have been nice to be about 85 doing that, But
We tried to resuscitate the over now, all the paramedics. EMTs were down on the golf course.
no,
Anyway,
so many people last year that,
enjoy it each day.
not from COVID.
Interesting. How's your wife doing, Jim? I know you've been through a lot.
Yeah, doing well.
Interesting, my mother in July was given a couple days before she had the big heart attack, sent home with hospice care.
All right, Sue's online now.
All right, good. All right. So, as I stated earlier, the zoning board review is now in session. First item on the agenda will be roll call. Mr. John Borden,
Mr. Borden, Vice Chairman, is present.
Mr. Eric Reposa.
Present.
Thank you. Ms. Sue Horowitz. Did I hear Sue?
I'm here.
Thanks, Sue. Bill Adika.
I'm here.
And Chairman's here as well, James Knott. So, going on, I do not have anything for a chairman's report. We don't have any minutes to approve. So, one item we will go to first is going to be the last item under new business, which is the petition of Christopher and Deborah Burnett. According to Mr. Ashola, they're requesting to continue that till next month. I guess Burnett's have retained counsel, and as of today, I requested that we continue that to our next meeting on July 15th. So could I have a motion?
Make a motion to continue that.
Second.
Second, so a motion has been made by Mr. Reposa to continue the petition of Chris and Deborah Burnett, and second by Mr. Borden to our regularly scheduled meeting of July 15th. By roll call in favor, Mr. Borden,
Mr. Borden approves.
Mr. Reposa,
Approve.
Ms. Horowitz,
I approve.
Mr. Wadika,
I approve.
and the chairman votes to approve as well. So that's been moved to July 15th. So anyone that is on remote, the petition for Chris and Deborah Burnett of 415 Sea Meadow Drive is moved to July 15th. Okay, so the first item on our agenda is under old business, which is a petition by Noel Clavelo, seeks a special use permit to convert a non-conforming 18.3 by 19.75 foot detached garage into a van under Article 6, Section C3, located at 134 Greenfield Avenue. Is Ms. Clavelo on?
Yep, she is promoting her right now.
Promoted her, Mike?
Yep, yeah, she's on.
Oh, okay.
She just has to unmute and start with.
Unmute. I just unmute.
Okay, Mike, can you bring her up on the screen?
Start my video.
There she is.
Here I am.
There you are. Ms. Clavelo, you want to raise your right hand, please? You swear to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
Could you give your full name and address for Barbara, please, for the record?
Noel Denise Clavalou, 134 Greenfield Avenue, Portsmouth, Rhode Island, 02871.
Okay, Ms. Cobble, why don't you explain to the board what you'd like to do?
The reason I am here tonight is because I am confused by the actions of the building committee, the building department, the Town of Portsmouth Building Department. I have an official building permit that was issued to me and signed by the building inspector on August 7th of 2020 to renovate a freestanding garage into a cabana. This whole process started about 4 years ago when I petitioned the town because I had a freestanding garage that was deteriorating, it's in really bad shape now. The windows are about to collapse in and there's shingles and roofing and things are falling off the building. And I had approached them to ask them if I could convert that into a rec room, if you will, and install a bathroom, because when I purchased the property, there was a newly installed 3-bedroom septic system. And I currently have 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom in my house. And we went back and forth for 2 years where the building department asked me to get certain certifications in which I complied. I paid for an elevation certificate. I paid for a flood certificate. It was determined that the garage was not in the flood zone. It was outside the flood zone, so it did not have to adhere to the new building code to be put on pylons. So that was the first thing. The second thing is, based on the plot plan, we determined that the setbacks from both streets, Common Fence Boulevard and Greenfield Avenue, were suitable for what I was trying to do. And then the last thing was my builder at the time was asked to supply the town of Portsmouth with professional renderings and a cost analysis of the project, in which we did. And at that point, so this takes us to the winter months of last year, when we had submitted this, and then the town issued an official building permit on August 7th of 2020. And that building permit, I have a receipt by the town that was paid for, $562.04. And construction was due to start on October 1st. And just prior to that time, I met with my builder, who proceeded to tell me that he needed to back out of the project because he had, his foreman had passed away from COVID, and that he was distraught. He was putting his business on hold, and that he could not follow through on keeping this project. So at that point, I sent an email to the Town of Portsmouth Building Department, and I notified them that I no longer was using that builder and that I would be searching for a new builder. And they told me that it was put on hold and to notify them when that happened. Fast forward, I contracted and hired a new builder in January of 2021, in which at that time, I gave him a $25,000 deposit to solidify my relationship with him, the contract. And at that point, I notified the town of my new builder. And then I waited because we were not due to start until the spring. So at that time, it was my understanding that Chiloma Brothers, or Chiloma Construction Corporation, contacted the town of Portsmouth and introduced themselves as the new contractor that would be doing this project. That was all well and good. And during the time from January, when I signed the contract and I gave my deposit, until April, my contractor proceeded to order supplies and set up subcontractors to start this project. In that time, like I said, he ordered supplies, over $13,000 worth of windows. He has secured lumber. And again, he also has tied up subcontractors to start this job. When I got in touch with him at the end of, at the end of April, because we were due to begin in May, he told me that the town of Portsmouth had pulled my building permit and that we no longer had the ability to go forward. At that point, I sent an email to the building department. I believe Matt Kent, I had sent it to because Mr. Ames was not available at that time. And he told me that they no longer approved the cabana that they had approved, and that I could only build a garage, an existing garage. So you can understand my coming back to the board here and filing a motion for a petition. There's a lot at stake here. I have financially invested myself for years in getting plot plans and elevation certificates and
Yeah, can you hit,
paying for professional renderings. And this was never brought to my attention that this was a problem. And then going as far as actually issuing me a building permit. And now all of a sudden there's a problem. And I can't handle or incur a financial loss like this. And I was really dumbfounded by what happened. And I need to understand what's going on here. I'm really upset.
Well, I can't speak for the building inspector's office and why a permit was issued in the beginning. It is my understanding that originally there was a different set of prints than what's before this board that showed a bedroom as part of this cabana. Is that correct?
No,
That's
there
not.
was never a bedroom associated with this project, ever. It was an open rec room with a wet bar, a bar sink, and a beverage cooler or beverage, almost like a wine cooler, wine refrigerator, an open rec room, and a full bathroom, and a storage closet. That was it. That's all it's ever been. And the professional plans, there's only been one set of professional renderings, which you have in front of you, that was submitted by my builder. There has never been anything else that has been part of this process.
I'm going to defer to Mr. Scholler a minute. Mike, do you have any other background history to add to this from the town standpoint of view?
Yeah, I believe that the building official wasn't aware of the change of use of the building, and that was the issue. It's a non-conforming garage, and it structures that are non-conforming. It can only be rebuilt as the same use and not change where it's too close to the lot line.
So
Can I say something, please?
Sure.
It is my understanding that my direct neighbor to my left is opposing this. And it was the direct neighbor to my left who actually granted variance to build that garage close to her lot line to a relative who owned that property prior to me. I am not expanding the footprint. It's an existing structure. I'm not enlarging it. It's exactly the same footprint as it is and stands today.
I understand that, but it is a change of use. Okay, that's what we're here before tonight. There is a difference between driving a car in a garage, shutting it off and parking it, than there is having a cabana with a wet bar, et cetera, where you may be entertaining people, et cetera.
So what I'm trying to understand is, and please help me understand, the issue was originally that this was a detached property. or detached from my primary house, where that later came to an understanding that that was not an issue because there are multiple properties all within several streets of my home that all have detached, separate use dwellings on the property that are being used for recreational purposes, that are not garages.
Okay, well,
And well, what I don't understand, and one of them actually just sold, and they referred to it as a music room. And what I don't understand is why, if I have an existing structure, that this is now viewed differently than anybody else who would be using something for recreational.
because the existing structure is a garage.
And there's not been cars parked in it, sir. It's been used as a storage facility. At one point, it looked as though, based on what I can tell, there was a wood stove in there at one point. There was electrical to that building. So whomever was using it at one point was using it as a workshop.
Ms. Clavel,
And I have a garage underneath my property in the front, so I don't even use it as a garage.
it doesn't matter whether there's cars parked in it or not. It's still a garage, okay? And that's why you're here. It's a garage, and you're looking to change the use of it from a garage to a cabana, okay? So that's the difference. Now, to address your statement that there's other garages detached in the area that are converted, I would have to take exception to that unless you have some sort of documentation or proof, because I'm thoroughly familiar with that area down there and even rode down 3 times within the past couple of weeks. And I don't recall noticing any that have been converted to a recreational or entertainment or separate living facility. The ones I've seen are still detached garages.
I'm happy to go collect photos if need be.
So,
But regardless of that, sir, in all due respect, I have been speaking to the building department since 2018. And as you can see, I have done my due diligence and I have followed every suggestion, every request, and I have spent a significant amount of money doing what they asked me to do. And now at the final hour, they're telling me no. So I have a problem with that. I have over $30,000, $30,000. And I actually have a building permit stamped by the building inspector himself with the town of Portsmouth. And I would like to know, other than you saying I can't speak for the town, the building inspector, I'm telling you what I have in my hands.
I understand that, and then there was a stoppage put on the building permit. I've seen that before in this town. There's been a cease and desist for any one of a number of reasons, okay? In this particular case, it was brought to the building inspector's attention that it was a non-conforming use and you were trying to change it from a non-conforming use to a different use.
So sir, in all due respect, he knew about these changes. He's had all of these plans in front of him for years. So this is not new news. It is my understanding that the only reason that this has changed is because there was opposition put forth by a neighbor once they received a letter. And I see those letters.
All right, well,
And-
as long as you bring that up, and I won't, I mean, I know this neighbor's on, but, I've read through them, as I'm sure many board members on, so let's get the elephant out of the middle of the room. And that is, the main house is being used as a VRBO. And I went online as late as 2 hours before this meeting to see if it was still on as a VRBO. So I'm sure there is some concern on the neighbor's point, especially the one directly to the south of you, I guess it would be, that's closest to that garage, that, gee, this cabana could be another rental VRBO, just like the main house is.
Sir, in all due respect, I feel like you're speculating and I resent that because I am a responsible homeowner and I am a responsible renter. And if you read my reviews, sir, I have 5-star reviews. I am a premier partner. And I will go as far as to tell you that my neighbor socializes and socialized in my home with one of those tenants. Okay?
So
And
Ms.
I'm going to oppose this because you are discriminating. I have paid my short-term
Ms.
rental
Flaherty,
to the town. I have done everything by the board and I should not be discriminated against.
you're not being discriminated, Ms. Clavel, for the record, you're not being discriminated against, period, okay? You're not being discriminated against. That's first and foremost. So I take exception to that comment. Now, let me ask you this. If you're renting the house, why are you using this as your home address?
Because that is my home address.
So you live there when the renters are there.
No, I don't. I live there in the off season.
It just seemed to me that in my search of the VRBO, it was available in what I would consider the off-season, which would be through the winter and fall. But it was available for rent.
Sir,
I'm just-
you are bringing something up which feels to me irrelevant because I've already explained to you. This cabana, this freestanding garage is not for rent. This is my primary home in which I am entitled to rent and register with the town and register with the state and pay my necessary taxes, which I do. And none of that really has anything to do with the fact that I have submitted a request and it was approved by the town of Portsmouth. And again, to say that this is now going to be pulled back and that the building department somehow or another had no idea what the intention was is not accurate because they reviewed all of the documentation in order to approve and, oh, by the way, have me pay to receive that building permit. Thousands and thousands of dollars are at stake here, sir. And if someone had had an issue or someone had thought about this, why wasn't this brought to my attention before now?
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Bourne.
I don't want to interrupt.
No,
you,
go ahead.
Mr. Chairman.
No,
I
go
want
ahead.
to make sure you asked all your questions.
I've asked all my questions.
Okay, this is John Boyd, Vice Chairman, and I have actually several questions. And if you could just please bear with me while I ask my questions. I'm going to be asking questions to the Assistant Town Planner as well as the petitioner. I'm reading Article 6, Section C3, which is the criterion under special use permit that the petitioner is appealing relief for. A legally non-conforming use shall not be changed to the use other than a conforming use. Okay, so the zoning board of review may permit a change in use as a special use permit. So,
Continue with the rest of
all
that.
right, so any change in use shall be more in keeping with the characteristics of the neighborhood. So I'm going to ask Mr. Ashola if a cabana, or let's just say a man cave or a woman cave or a recreational room is, I went through the accessory uses under the ordinance before this meeting and I didn't see anything. It's permitted under the ordinance to convert, let's just say a garage is conforming. Can you convert it to a man cave?
Just in response to you saying, in response to you saying in keeping with the neighborhood,
I'm sorry, excuse me, if you could wait, I'm addressing my
I
question.
thought you were asking me a question.
No, you, please wait, I have questions for you, but please wait for my response to my question from the assistant planner.
Yeah. You were reading section C3 in Article 6?
Correct.
Yep.
And that's the grounds where she's petitioning for
Yep.
relief. That's why she's in front of this board.
Yes, so again, it's kind of along the same lines as the special use criteria that you have to approve that, it's not a detriment to the neighborhood.
So if I have a detached garage that meets all the setbacks and is not a non-conforming garage that's detached,
Yeah,
can I petition the board to make a man cave?
you wouldn't need to, as long as it's within the setbacks, within the outside of the setbacks, you'd be allowed to change that use.
Okay, so then why isn't a cabana or those types of uses in the ordinance under accessory uses?
Let me just look through.
I went through Article 5.
I think it falls under a section in Article 5, Section I, for private greenhouse, tennis court, or other similar building or structure for domestic use.
Okay. Okay, so then it is possible. Now, the other question I have is, you have a bathroom in that structure. As long as, I guess what I'm getting at is the possibility of creating another rental unit. If she gets approval, let's just say that she decides, or she sells it, and the new owner wants to create a rental unit. Throw in a hot plate or a stove, and you've got a rental unit.
Yeah, so there aren't allowed cooking facilities in the unit, or else it ends up becoming a second dwelling unit. It would be the second principal building on the property, so you wouldn't be allowed to do that, and it also is under the density requirement.
Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Shaw. So now I have questions for the petitioner. It's Noel, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, so, you mentioned that you reside in this residence. How many months of the year do you reside in this residence?
Whenever I can.
Yeah, well, you didn't answer my question. But let's say over the past 2 years, how many months have you resided in this residence?
I am not sure why you're asking me that.
I'm
It's
asking-
it's intermittent, sir. I have. Pardon?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your answer.
No, I said it's intermittent. I have a boyfriend who lives in Tiverton. I go back and forth. I do spend a lot of time at his house, but this is my home. I sleep there. I, shower there. I mean,
Okay, so let me ask you another question. How many months out of the year do you rent the house?
this, when I first purchased the house, the woman that I purchased it from used it as a rental property in the summer. And when I was closing, she said to me, I have good friends that have rented this property and they come up from Florida in the summers and they would love to be able to continue to do that if you're interested. So I contacted them after I purchased the property and I created a great relationship with them. I am friendly with them to this day. We exchanged Christmas cards. Matter of fact, she's friendly with my neighbor who's on the call today. And for the past 3 summers, they actually came up and stayed. And then I used it during the subsequent time.
Okay.
Last summer, they had health difficulties, so they were not able to come. So at that point, then I chose to see if I could rent it weekly, and I did. And I will tell you, and you will also, if you reviewed records with the building department, I am a very conscientious homeowner. I've made improvements, tremendous improvements on this property since I've owned it. And I've pulled multiple building permits to do that. New decks, a shed, a driveway, so on and so forth. So I've invested a lot of money into this property, and that's how I continue to do
Let me
that.
stop you
Last-
there. Let me
Through my
stop.
rentals is how I continue to maintain and take care of this property.
Ms. Clavalo, if you
Excuse
can,
me.
wait a minute, hang on, John. If you continue to overtalk us, we are going to mute you. Okay, and that's what you're doing. You're continuing to overtalk. You overtalked me. You're now overtalking Mr. Borden. Okay, so,
I didn't hear someone address me. I'm sorry.
Mr.
All right.
Borden.
So, you didn't answer my question. How many months out of the year, the last 2 years, or last year, the year before, was it a rental property?
Last summer, and let me see.
So how many months? This can't be a difficult question. How many months did you rent the building?
So hold on, let me count it up for you, okay? In the past 2 years,
Per year?
hold on, 8, 9, 10, 11. I rented it 13 months in the past 2 years.
Okay, so roughly 6 months per year?
Yes, the lion's share was this past year. I have spent time with my boyfriend. I've had major health issues and surgery. I actually have been declared disabled as of February. And I had surgeries this past summer in which I couldn't walk for several months. So yes, I did pull a winter rental for this past year.
So it seems as though if you want to create this cabana, that it's going to make your rental property more appealing as opposed to you using it personally for your own single-family dwelling enjoyment. Is that correct?
I see it as both. I'm not so sure as why that would be. If you can explain to me why that would be a bad thing.
Can I take that one,
Sure,
John?
absolutely.
Well, only because of this, Ms. Clavalo, under the Article C, Section C3, is that last statement that any change in use shall be more in keeping with the characteristics of the neighborhood. Okay? So in keeping with the characteristics of the neighborhood would mean just that other people are doing the same thing. Okay? And there is under the special use criteria, which you're going for, would not alter the character of the neighborhood or adversely affect neighboring properties. So now if you're taking a space, and I'm not saying you are not a responsible landlord by any means. However, there are the occasions in everyone's rental life where you get that one tenant, and now if they're also using this cabana, which I believe is only a couple of feet at best from the property line, it's right up next to one of the abutters. Okay, so that's the reason Mr. Borden's asking that and why that comes into play.
Can I speak?
Sure.
Okay. First of all, the freestanding garage has a concrete patio behind it, which is currently and has been used by myself, by my guests, as well as my immediate neighbor who hosts family gatherings at her home regularly. I've actually extended to her to please feel free to use that space for overflow for her parties. I've been very generous in that. So this is not going to be something new. Again, that footprint is not going to be expanded. Matter of fact, there are Adirondack chairs and a little fire pit out there as we speak. So that space has been used. That outdoor space has been used. So that is not going to be anything new. And, you know, I will tell you, I run a business in which I have a rental property, exclusive rental property in Island Park. And I pride myself on high-end exclusive tenants. And they have to sign a lease with me about noise ordinance. There's no pets. There's no parties. They're not allowed to have big drinking, big party. I mean, I am really respectful of my neighbors, and it's bothersome to me that I've gone out of my way to try to accommodate everyone that's around me. I mean, whether it's doing landscaping for them or always making sure that my property is properly taken care of so it looks good in the neighborhood. And I would hope that you could see by these professional renderings that I don't do things cheaply. I do them tastefully and in keeping with the style of my own home as well as the neighborhood. I try to be really conscientious about that.
So we're not disputing any of that. We're not disputing any of that whatsoever, okay? So just please keep that in mind. We're not disputing that you're not a respectful landlord, that you seek high quality tenants, that you take care of your properties. That, we're not disputing that by any means, okay? We're just trying to get down to the facts to see if you meet the criteria that the special use permit you're seeking, okay? So I'm gonna see if any of the other members of the board have any questions. Mr. Reposa, do you have any questions?
Not at this time.
Okay. Ms. Horowitz, do you have any questions?
Not at this time.
Mr. Ladika, do you have any questions?
Not at this time.
One question I am going to throw out there, and I don't expect an answer, Ms. Clavo, but I just want to throw it out there anyway. If a space like this is that important, then why not renovate the garage back to a garage and convert one of the garages under the house into the cabana room? I don't need you to answer. You can if you want.
Are you done? Do you want me to, can I speak?
Sure.
Okay. Number one, because there's already a concrete, in other words, I'm trying to utilize my side yard. I have a beautiful side yard, which I have not spent any time in. And I put in a lovely Nantucket shed last year. I've been working on planting and getting the lawn up to keeping. Again, it's taken me years to continue to invest in improving my property. I am a single woman. I do not need anything but a garage. The garage underneath, matter of fact, the garage underneath opens right into my home. So I don't even need to get out of the car to get back into the house. And not to mention the fact that what this structure offers is a tremendous amount of natural light, and it naturally eases into my backyard.
Is there anything else you want to add? I do have to ask for butters or any other interested parties to speak on this, so.
Is there anything else I would like to add is that I want to be a good neighbor, and I want to make sure that I maintain my good relationship with my neighbors, which I feel like I've done to date. And I'm not looking to pull the wool over anyone's eyes or do anything scandalous. I'm simply looking to improve the space that I have to use, as well as my property value. And I feel as though that this opportunity would do that for me.
I have a question.
Thank you. Somebody have a question? One of the,
I just had a quick question.
Go ahead, Eric.
So it's a two-bedroom house with a 3-bedroom septic, correct?
That's correct, sir.
So this isn't going to be used as a bedroom, not as spoken for. So what's the
Could
what's
you
the
repeat
need?
that?
This isn't going to be used as a bedroom, correct?
No,
That's not the plan.
no.
So the need for, and I'm just curious, the need for a shower out there would be for washing
And
beach.
well, I thought it was, if I have the septic, I thought it was a good idea. If I only have one bathroom in the house. I mean, it can't hurt to have another shower or another bathroom, that's for sure.
No, I understand. I mean, it's obviously the plumbing's there. You know, it looks like a great setup for a bed on the wall, and I'm not. I mean, I guess if it's okay in the ordinance, and you know, but just asking the question. Looks like a perfect little apartment.
Oh, okay.
You know, just had to ask. But thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you. Ms. Clavalu, I'm gonna now ask for, any abutters or interested, parties that wanna speak to this. So if you're on the Zoom meeting, you can raise your hand and Mr. Shola will, allow you to speak.
And if you're called in, you can dial *9 to raise your hand and then *6 to mute and unmute yourself. Nancy Aruda Neri, we'll let you go first.
On video too, Mike?
Hold on. Looks like Nancy's. Okay, here we go. Can you hear us, Nancy? No. Looks like she's signed on two accounts. Let me. Nope. Nancy, go ahead.
Is there anyone else while we're waiting for her, Mike?
Nope, it's just her. Oh, yes, there are a few more now here. There's Dana Yeager Squires.
Okay, why don't you bring them up?
Yeah, go ahead, Dana.
Hi,
Dana, you, going to tell the truth?
yes, I do.
Okay, can you give your full name and address to Barbara, please?
Yes, my name is Dana Yeager Squires, 129 in Portsmouth.
Okay, Dana, what would you like to say?
So I just want to say, first of all, I hope Nancy is able to get on because I think that it's really important that she gets to say what she wants to say because she and Ed are the ones who reside right next to the garage. But I also just want to say that, and Noelle has been very lovely. This is not personal at all, but she does not reside in that home, and she has not for many years, for several years. And so absolutely believe that this is a rental advantage. This is an income property for her. And so this is absolutely for financial benefit. And our concern is that does come a little bit at our expense. We have kids and we live here. This is our primary home. And to double the amount of potential short-term renters coming through this area does just increase risk to, our kids playing outside in the area and to the traffic on the street. And we just feel that it's very addition of rental, which is small, between us and our neighbors and on a small lot to be able to rent out to potentially two different parties at one time.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Who else do we have, Mike?
Okay, there's a 401-640-8193. Let's see, if you could give your name and address for the record.
Hi, good evening. This is Kathy and Don Wright at 106 Fence Boulevard, directly across the street from the property. And we also echo the same concern that it is an income property, that the folks that will be benefiting from this addition will not be the homeowners, but it could bring in additional people and additional traffic. Well, we've never met the person. We're sure that the owner is a lovely person and we absolutely understand it, but concerned that it's now becoming a rental property as opposed to what we moved into, which was, a primary residence.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mike, anyone else?
Yeah, Nancy was just on.
Hello, Michael?
Yep.
Can you hear me? This is
Yes.
Nancy at Rudenary, dear.
Oh, great.
Okay,
Ms.
tell
Neri,
me if it's,
swear to tell the truth?
hello?
Yeah, Ms. Neri?
Yes, I can hear you now. I'm so sorry.
All right, you swear to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, full name and address for Barbara, please, for our record.
Nancy E. Arudaneri, 132 Greenfield Avenue, Portsmouth, Rhode Island, 02871.
Okay, Ms. Neri, go ahead.
I would like to start the conversation to say that I appreciate Noel as a neighbor, and I think we've been good neighbors too. But I would like to start with the structural and zoning issues first. And that's my main concern. And then I'll correct a few discrepancies. The property that is in question for the special use permit is a garage that has been a garage for decades. It is 6.9 feet, 7.4 feet at its maximum away from my house. It is 19 feet in length, so it goes as long as my kitchen and living room. So that's how close it is. And the property line is 1.66 feet away from, it's under the eaves of that garage. So it's that close to the property line. If it wasn't for the fact that this will be a long-term issue for this piece of property that I own, we've lived with the fact that we've had Noel as a neighbor and appreciated that, but also the fact that there have been short-term rentals because that is what most of the usage has been. But that started in 2018 and now we're in 2021. So the issue here is that this 6.9 to 7.4 feet from my kitchen and living room where the garage is. And the change of use issue is something that I started a conversation with the building inspector and zoning office and Noel back in 2018. On 2/24/18, I spoke to the building inspector's office and zoning. And the discussion after I had talked to Noel was that if it's a change of use, then there is a setback of 10 feet or some facsimile so that you could accommodate that change of use. Otherwise, if it was going to be a different usage, in this case, the cabana, then it could be attached to the main building, the main home, But if it was a separate entity, it would need the special use permit. So that is a conversation that's been going on 9/24/18, 9/2019, and as recently as 2/23/2020. I spoke to Noel, I spoke to zoning, and I had Noel and her companion come to my home. We had a very amicable meeting that was on 3/1/2020. And we spoke about the fact that it would have to be attached, not detached, and the issues for my quality of life if it was a living facility. When you look at the prints, it does have a room with a closet. It does have a bathroom. It has a quote unquote wet bar, which actually could be a kitchenette and a living area going out on French doors onto the patio. So that would be more of a living area. And when Noelle sat with us, because I wanted to be very frank with her and upfront with her because I do care about her. We sat at the table 3/1/2020 and talked about those usage issues and change of use issues. And she said she would like to have her 2-bedroom, 1-bath changed to a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and it would make it more user-friendly for the rentals. So in terms of the usage, the historic usage, the current usage, and the potential for the future usage is that it will be living space. That's the only reason that I have to be discussing this, because if it continues to be short-term rentals, if it was a long-term rental, if Noelle moved into the house because she currently doesn't live there, or someone sold the property, once the special permit is issued, there is no going back. We will have a living area 6 feet to maybe 7 from my kitchen door and wall. We talked about the discrepancies, so let me just address that briefly because you've been hearing this for a while. In 1982, I did not give a variance to the property. My cousin lived there. I bought a piece of the property so I could access the backyard and be on my property because the configuration was 1 house, 1 garage, 1 house was 1 owner, Tommy Ryan, years ago. The second thing is Noelle's been very kind to offer the use of that cement slab, but I've never used it, and neither have my grandchildren. I tell them, you know, I have a very small yard. You don't go on that slab. You don't go in the other yard. We've never used it. Thirdly, the fire pit has been used by renters, but it is actually maybe 10 feet from my back door and my deck. And we've never complained to try to be good neighbors. From the time that COVID started, which was after our 3/1/2020 meeting, there have been cars there from every state on the East Coast, and we've never complained. So she's actually correct that, you know, if somebody's renting, it's, you know, they're nice people. We're all nice people. Across the street, on my side of the street, everyone appreciates Noelle. They appreciate it. The issue here is not that it was going on, which was an issue, but we're good neighbors. The issue is the expansion and extension of that living area to have it be closer to the property line and more rentals. So I just wanted to correct those changes. And I looked up cabana, and there must be a bazillion definitions, but it's called the lightweight structure living facility.
Is that everything in this area?
Well, I think that, like I said before, if this changes, it changes for decades. And the quality of life issue for us changes for decades, or whoever else, my children or anyone else who lives here. I think that enhancing the property was one thing, but to add to the bedrooms, the bathroom, the living space just changes it. And that's why we're on the meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mike, do we have anyone else?
No, it doesn't look like it. Last call for public comment. Dial *9 to raise your hand. Or use the raise hand function.
Okay. There is one letter in the file from, there's a couple, but Ms. Neri already spoke, as did Dana Squire. So there's a letter from a John Giaruda. Dear Mr. Scholler, I'm writing in regard, his address is 126 Greenfield Avenue, Portsmouth. Writing in regard to the upcoming zoning board meeting scheduled for Thursday, May 20th, 2021. I want to go on record prior to the meeting to say I don't want to have any approval of the special permit to convert a non-conforming detached garage into a cabana located at 134 Greenfield Ave. I've been here for decades, and that is and always was a garage. It's not a living space. Thank you sincerely, John G. Aruda. So, okay. So,
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to comment on the abutters comments and bring up one more issue before we vote, if I could.
okay,
I'll make it brief.
yeah, no, go ahead.
Want to say something?
Nope, I'm good.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'm very clear in my mind how I want to vote. And I think from a zoning perspective, it's clear whether she meets or does not meet the criteria for approval. What I have a real problem with is the fact that this petitioner could suffer a financial hardship of $35,000 because she acted on the good faith of the building department to issue a permit, and then they withdrew it. So I don't know if we need to ask Kevin or, I mean, what recourse does she have? She's going to be out a lot of money. The zoning issue is one issue. But then there's the question of the town misrepresenting itself, granting a permit, and then pulling it back. Followed all the rules, got the permit, COVID came. Had COVID not come, she would have built it and it would have been installed and in use. That's what I have an issue with. So I'd be curious to hear feedback from the chairman or the solicitor.
I'd be interested to hear from the solicitor, Mr. Gavin.
Can I say something?
No, not yet. Who's this, Sue?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, Sue, before I talk to Kevin.
I believe building permits are only valid for a year and then they expire. So it's not like the old one is still valid. I believe, I could be wrong, but that's my understanding.
You're correct. You have to
It's not
stop.
been a year. It'd be a year, August 7th, 2021.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is Kevin on, Mike?
Yes, I'm here. I think a lot of these questions are really tangential to the petition that's before the board. Some of the comments made, I mean, she may or may not have legal rights or claims. That's for her to consult with a private attorney.
And we can't take, I mean, as much as I understand what Mr. Borden's saying, but you know, we can't take that into consideration in our decision. I mean, ours is strictly based on the ordinance, period.
I understand that. I knew that.
Yeah.
I just wanted to.
Right. Okay. Well, any of the other members have any other questions?
I have a question, sir.
Yes.
I feel like I'm being railroaded and I'm really disappointed, and I am very grateful for the one person who has spoken up on my behalf for the financial implications of this. Because this matter is not over and it's really unfortunate. But I will tell you, if.
Ms. Clavelo,
Yes, sir.
we haven't even voted yet.
I'm aware of that, but I have a pretty good feeling the way this is going based on the feeling that I'm getting.
Okay.
But I will.
Ms. Clavelo, you've had your opportunity to speak tonight. I will not entertain any more comment. The board is now going to vote on this. Period. Okay, for the members. Paul Clavelo is before the board under tax assessor's map for lot 84, seek to convert a non-conforming garage to a cabana. Now this falls under Article 6, Section C3. A legally non-conforming use shall not be changed to use other than a conforming use. Zoning Board of Review may permit a change in the use as a special use permit. Any change in use shall be more in keeping with the characteristics of the neighborhood. Special use criteria for a non-conforming lot of record would be A, allow adequate space for fire protection. B, would continue to provide adequate light and air between buildings. C, would alter the character of the neighborhood or adversely affect neighboring property. E, would create lot coverage and setbacks less than the average lot coverage and setbacks of adjacent properties. And E, would impose a substantial detriment to the public or to immediate neighbors. Well, that is the criteria we're under. So that being said, Mr. Borden.
Chairman, point of clarification before I vote. I understand you just quoted the criterion for approval for a non-conforming lot of record. However, if I read Article 6, Section C3, legally non-conforming use shall not be changed to a use other than a conforming use. Zoning Board of Review may permit a change in use as a special use permit. So my question is,
So
are we using the special use permit criterion of compatibility with surrounding land uses, nuisance or a hazard?
Solar rights or abutters are provided for?
Yes.
Mr. Galvin, it's a good question. Mr. Gavin?
Okay, I don't have my ordinance in front of me, sorry, but
Oh,
it sounded what the chairman read was the criteria for a dimensional variance on a substandard
Record, correct?
record.
And we're gonna go by the full special use permit criteria, correct?
Yes,
Okay. So these full special use criteria will be, the desired use will not be detrimental to the surrounding area. It will be compatible with neighboring land uses. It will not create a nuisance or a hazard in the neighborhood. Adequate protection is afforded to the surrounding property by use of open space and planting. Safe vehicular access and adequate parking are provided. Control of noise, smoke, odors, lighting, and any other objectionable features provided. Solar rights of the abutters are provided for. Proposed special use will be in conformance with the purpose and intent of the comprehensive plan and the zoning norms of the town of Portsmouth and the health, safety, and welfare of the community are protected. Hey, Ms. Borden?
Yes.
All
Thank
right.
you, Mr. Chairman,
Right.
for indulging me in that
Oh,
clarification.
thanks for pointing out.
Okay, thank you. Petitioner is seeking special use permit relief for the purposes of creating a cabana or a rec room on the property in a detached garage that is a pre-existing non-conforming use approved, but it's really used for storage and not a garage. I sympathize with the petitioner, and I'm not sure if an apology is in order for the confusion on her part and the possible financial loss that she may incur. However, our job as zoning board members, which the chairman and the solicitor made very clear, is to interpret the ordinance based on the facts that are presented to us in the petition. When I read Article 6, Section C3, legally non-conforming use shall not be changed to a use other than a conforming use. So, under the accessory uses, as the assistant planner pointed out, it could be approved under the, I think it was tennis courts, greenhouses, and other uses, if it were conforming, but it's not. It's not conforming. Any change in use, and here's the key, any change in use shall be more in keeping with the characteristics of the neighborhood. Clearly, this has the potential to be a rental property. It's not consistent with the characteristics of the neighborhood. Zoning approvals go with the land, not the petitioner. She could, if she gets approval, and she's probably a great landlord, sell this tomorrow or the next day to someone who is not as considerate, and it turns into a party house. The abutters already said the quality of life is an issue. There are cars from all different states parked there at different times. It's affecting the traffic in the neighborhood. It's not consistent with the neighborhood. So close to the abutters that it would affect her quality of life. 6 to 7 feet away from her living room. It's not consistent with the neighborhood. And I think there's a potential for a noise issue. All the criterion the chairman named for special use permit approval could be an issue, except for solar rights of the abutters. So clearly, nothing against the petitioner. I'm sure she's a great, respectful person of her neighbors, but she does not meet the criterion of approval for the ordinance for special use permit. I vote to deny.
Thank you. Mr. Reposa.
I tend to agree with some of those points, but being in the building construction field, I think that if there was a connection made to the house, which I've seen, and that was, like I just said, connected and was converted to living space, I think it, we would be at a different juncture here, but I think, it seems like she's a great neighbor. I understand the predicament, the hardship, but I'd vote to approve it because I just think if it was connected, like I've seen and been involved in other projects in similar, to similar structures that were approved. I'm gonna, sorry, I can't word it correctly, excuse me, but I approve for, for its use.
Okay. All right.
Sorry, I get kind of wordy there, but I'm just trying to think through these different scenarios I've been in. And, I do see both sides of it, but, financially and in the use, this could really happen anywhere,
Thank you. Ms. Horowitz.
I vote not to approve for reasons previously stated by Mr. Borden.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Horowitz. Mr. Ladika.
I vote to deny based on the reasons stated by Mr. Borden.
Thank you. Chairman also votes to deny. I agree with Mr. Borden, and I don't believe it meets all the special use criteria, which is what we have to go by. I think one of the most vivid things that stuck out tonight that was pointed out was by Ms. Squires, who said, hey, we have kids in this neighborhood and you have people that aren't used to living down here, they come down here. So we do know it's a rental property. I mean, is this particular piece going to be a rental property? Not necessarily, we don't know that. But as Mr. Borden pointed out, anything we grant now is in perpetuity and would always stay. I don't believe it meets the criteria. I will say, Ms. Clavelo, that I understand you feel like you're being railroaded. If I were king for a day and could go back in time and fix it, I would, but I can't. And this board only has so much power, period. From this point on, your petition has been denied. You have every right from this point on to appeal our decision to Superior Court. That's entirely up to you where you go from here. Okay? So,
Sir, I have a question.
Yes.
Right now you have a structure that is not safe. It's falling down. What would you like to do about that?
That's entirely up to you as a property owner. You can resurrect it and fix it up as a garage. It can stay as a garage, it can remain as a garage.
So I'm just throwing this out there. If I had not proposed putting in a wet bar and a bathroom and just said, it's just going to be a big open room that opens up to my patio, would that change these circumstances?
If you said it's If you said it's gonna be a garage and oh, by the way, it has a back door that goes out into a patio, then you've got a garage that has a door that goes to a patio. You know, and the garage is a big open room. That's all I can say,
Fair enough.
okay? I will apologize for
I,
something
sir,
this board had no control over. And we do sympathize with you,
I,
believe it or not.
I appreciate that, but unfortunately, it's unfortunate because it has nothing to do with any of you on that board. But I have a signed document by the town of Portsmouth. And unfortunately, someone in that department didn't do their due diligence. Because like someone pointed out, this building, had there not been a death due to COVID, would have been constructed
Understand that.
back in the fall. And the financial onus is not going to all fall on my shoulders. It can't. Because there was obviously a mistake made by somebody.
I understand that. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Clavolo.
Thank you.
Okay. We're going to take a 5-minute break. So for the last two petitions, let's see, it is 8:17. We'll reconvene at 8:25. Okay? Mike, can you mute us? right, thanks, Mike. Let's
Yeah,
see.
sorry about that. I can mute you, but I can't unmute you.
Oh, yeah, Barbara just did it. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Reposo, I see you're back. Want to unmute? All right, let's see, Ms. Horowitz is back. Mr. Ladika, you still there? I don't see him, he's muted. So we just need Mr. Ladika and we can continue on. Sue, by the way, next month we'll be meeting here.
Okay,
Board members will all be here.
well, that'll be good. Maybe I won't forget that way.
Left as an alternate, you'll come back as a full member.
There you go.
All right, Bill, is Bill there yet? There he is. Bill, you want to, you're back?
I'm back.
Yes, Bill.
Sorry.
Okay, so zoning board of review is back in session. The next item on the agenda is a petition by Bradley and Carol Asnes seeking to extinguish a vacant lot and add portions of the same under lots 2B-6 and 2B-8, which is really a modification of the existing special use permit down at 0 Carnegie Abbey Lane. The Asnes is on.
I believe Court Chappelle is representing them.
Is Court on?
Yeah.
Mr. Chappelle, you there somewhere?
Having a hard time. Usually I can promote to a panelist, but for some reason it's not taking.
Barbara's gonna check.
Oh, okay. He's calling in on his. He's going to be on his cell.
Okay.
Um,
There you go, unmute. Is he on?
yeah, he just texted, and I'm trying to figure that out right now.
Unmute him, Barbara. I see a little microphone is. All right, let Mike do his thing, man. There's too many people trying to do things. What happens if you hover over the microphone?
Yeah, I'm asking to unmute. Hold on a second.
All right.
I think he might have to press *6 if he's on his phone.
Court, if you can hear us, you want to hit *6? Oh, I'll be so glad when this is over.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we got you. There you are, Court.
How's that?
That's perfect. All right, Mr. Chappelle, I don't anticipate this to take 1 minute.
I echo the chairman's sentiments.
I'm having a little trouble hearing you, so just let me know if you don't hear me, all right?
All right, we hear you fine, so go ahead.
Okay. I hope you find this very easy. I am here for Bradley and Carol Asnes, who purchased map 26 lot 2B7. I know Mike has that there. You guys know this as the cottages around the Carnegie special use permit. And if you remember, about 3 or 4 months ago, a gentleman came in that bought 2 of the lots and wanted to merge them to put one house on them. And you approved that. If people own lots in a regular subdivision, they merely go to the tax office and file a document that they're merging lots. Or if people have a vacant lot between their 2 houses and they want to add land to one lot, half of it to one lot and half to another, they go to the planning board and do what's called an administrative subdivision. But because you granted and created these lots as special use permits, in order to get rid of lot 7, 2B7, and you can see it on the map, it's kind of a smaller lot that didn't have much frontage on that pond. And all they're doing is the 2 neighbors purchased it. Miss Asnes, it's in her name right now. And they had Lynn Small draw a plan, and they are deeding just over half of the lot to lot 6 or lot 8, and just under half of the lot to lot 6. So this is just what would be a merger or an administrative subdivision. It just has to be as an amendment to the special use permit granted Carnegie Village. The criteria is pretty simple. It was a special use permit to grant it. You don't even have to go through all the criteria. You just have to find out that the modification is fitting with what you did and is more fitting and not more dense or creating more lots. So I think it's pretty simple that losing a lot is not a concern. And again, we did it right across the pond when you merged 2 lots and allowed them to put 1 building. So at the end of the day, there's also an exhibit there where a condition of this is that Carnegie itself has to amend the declaration, and they've voted and signed off an amended declaration subject to what you do tonight. So the map that's at the town hall, which is what's taxed by our tax assessor, is just going to eliminate lot 7 and make lot 6 and lot 8 bigger, add the taxable land to each of those lots, and create 1 less unit in the overall resort development we know as the Aquidneck Club. So that really is all there is to it. And if you have any questions, I can certainly answer them.
Nope, I think it's pretty straightforward, at least I know. Mr. Board?
No questions.
Mr. Reposa, any questions? Mr. Reposa, any questions? No. Ms. Horowitz, any questions?
No questions.
Okay, Mr. Ladika, any questions?
No questions?
All righty, the chairman doesn't either. For the record, I do have in front of me, and I will not read the entire thing, but it is in the record. It's the director's certificate of the Cottages Condominium Association. As Mr. Chappelle pointed out, they did agree to change the cottages at Carnegie Executive Board, duly authorized grants the owners of the cottages at Carnegie Unit 7, located in the cottages at Carnegie Abbey Condominium, the successors, Unit 7 as a single land-only condominium by deeds to unit in part with Unit 6 and in part with Unit 8. So it's their own condominium association is allowing this to go through as well. So there are no letters in the files. I do have to ask for butters or interested parties. If there's anyone that wants to speak on this, please either raise your hand or dial in.
And again, that's if you're in the Zoom app, use the raise hand function. And if you're calling in, you can dial *9 to raise your hand.
Okay, seeing no one, Bradley and Carol Asnes are before the board for tax assessor map 26, lot 2B-7, seeking to modify a previously granted special use permit for the purpose of allowing lot 7 to be merged with lots 6 and lots 8 at what are known as the cottages, a subcondominium down at Carnegie Avenue. Mr. Borden.
Mr. Chairman, this board does not need to go through the special use criterion for approval. That has already been done at previous meetings. As the petitioner pointed out, it clearly is more fitting to our prior special use approval to create one less lot. And this is the only vehicle to do that. And I vote to approve.
Thank you. Mr. Reposo. We can't hear you, Mr. Reposo. I'll go to Ms. Horowitz and come back to you.
I vote to approve for reasons previously stated.
Thank you. Mr. Ladika.
I vote to approve.
Thank you. It also votes to approve for reasons previously stated. Mr. Reposo. I think Mr. Reposo is having some audio difficulties again. I don't know if you can.
Eric, try unplugging your headphones.
Thank you, Eric. I'll take that.
Thank you.
Eric typed approved and held it up to the screen. Eric, you may want to unplug your headphones up. Yeah, okay. So the chairman votes to approve for reasons previously stated by Mr. Borden, so that's been approved.
Thank you as always, everyone.
Mr.
Have a good
Chairman,
evening.
I'd like to commend Mr. Chappelle for making it brief.
I had to play catch up on time for you guys.
There you go.
Take care.
Last item on the agenda is a petition by Stacy Howard, 10 Western Avenue, Foxborough, regarding 55 Annette Drive, Portsmouth, lot 49, map 49, lot 69, asking for permission to enclose an existing patio with a screened-in porch. The patio currently exists over the side setback line. The overall house is well within the lot coverage requirements. The existing location of the house and patio is set to the north portion of the lot, therefore creating the need for this variance. No change to the lot coverage as the existing side patio was included in lot coverage. So is Stacy Howard on? Mike, do we have Stacy Howard on?
Someone just raised their hand by the name of Tony. I'm not sure if that's Ms. Howard.
Yes, hello? Can you hear me?
Yep. And also the architect is also on the call.
Okay, so is Stacy Howard on?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, can we bring him up on video, Mike?
Yep.
Oh,
Okay.
can you see us both? It's
And
Tony and Stacy.
Stacy, can you raise your right hand?
Yep.
We're gonna tell the truth?
Yes.
Okay, can you give your full name and address for Barbara, please?
Stacy Howard, 10 Weston Avenue, Foxborough, Massachusetts.
Okay, and who's alongside you, Stacy?
He is the co-owner in the house. This is my husband, Tony Natali.
Okay, and Tony, are you gonna be speaking tonight as well?
I actually have Dan, the architect, who drew the design for us online.
I swear you in just in case you want to comment, okay?
Yep,
All right, swear to tell the truth?
yes, I do.
All right, full name and address for Bob.
Yes, 10 Weston Ave, Foxborough, Mass, Tony Natali.
Okay, and you said your architect is on as well?
Yes, Dan.
Okay.
Yes, Dan's here.
Oh, there you are, Dan. Go ahead, swear to tell the truth.
Yes, I do.
Name and address for Barbara, please.
Daniel Herkenrother from 36 Aquidneck Avenue, Middletown, Rhode Island.
Okay, so I don't know who wants to present. I'll leave that up to you guys.
Dan, can you?
Yeah, I'll just,
Go ahead, Dan.
I'll just run through the application quickly for you guys here.
Yep,
We have an existing patio. This site plan that's on the screen right here shows the existing patio, and it currently is over the setback. The size, we already have overhangs of the building, so it's actually the 5'6" is the dimension that we're asking for. And there's a portion that's over the side setback. It's actually 112 square feet of the patio is what lies over the setback line. It says 146, that's the hatched area, but the actual area outside the setback is 112 square feet. And the owner would just like to enclose that as a screened-in porch. And they're going to be removing the staircase. There's a staircase now that's on the plan right, which would be the east side of that patio. They're taking that staircase out and replacing it with planting beds. So there'll just be one staircase up from the driveway now. And they're just asking to enclose this as a screened-in porch for the use of their primary home here.
that's it. I mean, you're not, so basically, you're not seeking to encroach any more than what already exists, correct?
That's correct, yes.
And basically, it's just to screen it in.
Yes,
That it?
that's it. That's as simple as it is.
Gordon, do you have any questions?
No questions, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, let's see. Mr. Reposa, any questions?
Questions?
All righty. Ms. Horowitz, any questions?
No questions.
Udika, any questions?
No questions?
Kevin has no questions whatsoever either. I do have to ask for abutters or interested parties. There are no letters or anything in the file. So if there's any abutters or interested parties that want to speak to this, please raise your hand in the Zoom app, or if you call in, hit *6.
We have Janet Harrison. Janet, if you could give your full name and your address for the record.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep. Yeah.
It's Janet Harrison. We're at 43 Annette Drive in Portsmouth, Rhode Island, 02871.
Okay, go ahead.
I just had a question. You showed the elevation, but it looked like there was two different images on the last picture.
Go to the last picture, Mike.
Is there going to be a second floor porch above there?
Yes, they're showing railings and a deck off of the bedroom upstairs.
That already exists, correct?
No.
No, but I mean,
No, that we're adding a roof to that patio. That screened-in porch is adding a roof to it.
right. Yeah.
Okay, that was my only question.
Oh, okay. Any other comment you'd like to add at all?
No, that's just on my bedroom, bathroom side. But it looks pretty. We'll work out shades.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet. Actually, that's my bedroom side too, so we're in the
Don't
same
you
boat.
keep looking in. I'll get binoculars.
Oh, okay, is there anyone else? All right, seeing no one. It's the hours before the board for tax assessors map 49, lot 69. Seeking a 6'8" side yard variance for the purpose of enclosing a patio that already exists and approaches that much. Mr. Borden.
Mr. Chairman, the petitioner is seeking dimensional relief for a side yard setback in the north of 6 feet 8 inches. A screened-in porch, particularly in the summer with mosquitoes, is certainly a reasonable request. It's permitted under the ordinance as an accessory use. And I think to deny would amount to more than a mere inconvenience, so I vote to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Reposa.
Sorry, I also vote to approve for reasons stated by Mr. Borden.
Thank you, Ms. Horowitz.
I vote to approve for reasons previously stated.
Okay, Mr. Ladika.
I vote to approve for reasons previously stated.
Thank you. The chairman votes for reasons previously stated by Mr. Borden as well. So it has been approved. So you're all set.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you,
I have to
gentlemen.
ask you a question before you leave. Are you New England Patriots fans?
Actually, 25 years. Take a vote. Yes.
Well, also, are you a Tampa Bay fan? The town
No.
that you moved to Florida?
No, unfortunately, I am not a Tampa Bay fan.
Oh, who this? But we wish you luck with your screen porch.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, for the members, before we vote to adjourn, just a reminder, next month, we will all be in attendance here. As far as the public in attendance, we'll let the town work that out, but all board members will be here next month. So, could I entertain a motion to adjourn?
Second that.
All right, can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion been made and second to adjourn, Mr. Borden,
Approve to adjourn.
Mr. Reposa,
Adjourn.
okay, Ms. Horowitz?
Adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. Ladika.
Aye.
And the chairman also votes to adjourn. Thank you, everybody.
Have a good night, guys.
Good night.
Aye.
Aye.
Mike
Good job, Mike
and Barbara.
and Barbara.
I'm just.
Give us up, Mike.
Yep.